Part 7 covers compensation, and it includes all of the compensation reported on the 990. The IRS revised the 990 about 3 years ago, and before this new form came into effect, nonprofits actually reported compensation in two places. They reported compensation for officers, directors, trustees, and key employees within the main body of the form, and then they reported compensation for the 5 highest compensated employees who weren't officers, directors, trustees, or key employees on Schedule A. When the IRS revised the 990, they combined all of that information, and now when you're filling out information for a specific individual, you actually check in column C here where they fall, if they're an officer, a director, key employee. The threshold for reporting differs with the type of individual you're reporting on. So if someone is an officer, director, or trustee, which is basically a member of the board, the governance body, then they have to be reported in this section whether they receive any compensation or not. The same is true of key employees. A key employee is someone who is employed by the organization, and the IRS has defined them as someone who earns more than $150,000, has significant responsibilities for the organization. They either run the whole organization, or they're they're responsible for a significant portion of the budget. The IRS actually defines in the instructions what that portion should be. And they are also one of the top 20 paid employees who meet the criteria 1 and 2. If all 3 of those are true, then that person is a key employee, and you have to report on all key employees. The 5 highest compensated employees are people who are not officers, directors, trustees, and key employees, but who earn more than $100,000 a year. And they are reported in this section as well, but just the top 5. And then organizations are required to report on former officers, key employees, and highest compensated employees, and former directors or trustees. And the threshold for both of those types of individuals is different. Former officers, key employees, and highest compensated employees must be reported if they receive more than $100,000 in the year that the 990 is covering. Former directors or trustees must be reported if, as a former director or trustee, they receive more than $10,000 from the organization in the year that's being reported. Section 7 also contains information on independent contractors, which can be very interesting. If the organization paid more than $100,000 to a contractor, or someone providing services such as accounting services, legal services, could be web services, marketing and advertising, some sort of management consulting. If they paid more than $100,000 in the year that's covered to the consultant, they must report it in this section, and they report up to 5 contractors who receive the greatest amount of compensation from the organization. Not all organizations will have 5, but many will. And now we'll skip to in the next section of this tutorial, we'll go to the next section of the 990.